And a quick mic check as everyone gets into the room, and if you can hear me okay, post a little something in the chat. Hi. Your greeting of choice. Ariane, yep. Hello, yep. Voice is proper. Thank you. Oi, hello, 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 hello. Hi, hi. Peter, Garrett. Hold on, my ears work. That's good. Yeah, it's good to see everybody like that. Hello, Anthony, Ayo, Sagar, hello, Noah, hello. Yeah, look at all these people. That's really cool. Hey. It is 6 in the morning. It is 6 in the morning. What? I mean, good job. You're on your coding grind, you're studying. I can respect that. 2 a.m. here in the UK, okay? You win. You win the cup. Yeah? Hey, there's people from all over. That's really cool. Yeah, I like that. Let's make sure my cable doesn't fall out of my computer. There we go. Don't mind my photo. My cousin stole my phone. Hey, it's cool. I have never worked with React before. Is that okay? Yeah, that's okay. This is a intro to intermediate workshop, and there will be some things about React that I will explain. And we use React for our front end this time, but actually this is a React and REST API. We're going to be working on the back end, basically how to save your data into a Kintone web database, a web database that we offer for free. And so, it's not necessarily like strictly React, it's running on React, but the database and the backend that's connected to the database is with Express, and that's JavaScript. It's plain old JavaScript. Can we still get the word done with like zero knowledge? I mean, yeah, I'm going to do everything with you all today, and I'll explain who I am and what we do. But yeah, you should like follow along, and also like when I always go through the spiel, but when you're like kind of starting to break into programming and learn how to program, maybe try and get a job in IT. One thing that really changed my life, because I also self-studied with like workshops and YouTube, is I would watch tutorials and stuff twice. And the first time, like I would just watch, and then the second time I would try and code along, preferably with like a second monitor or something, right? So you can like look and code at the same time. There's so much chat, I can't even keep up. I'll try and answer chat, but also I'll try and move ahead with the workshop once we get more people in here. Yep, they are available on YouTube. Thank you for answering that. Yep. We'll be learning JavaScript for the front end. So we will not be focusing on front end. I'll talk a little bit about how our front end passes information to our back end, which is written in JavaScript. And then our back end, which we'll actually be coding together today, will pass information to our web database. How often do you have these workshops? Like once a month or so. That's just mostly because of like, me and Genji and Jesslyn don't want to work too hard. But if there's a lot of people that are interested in more like, bi-monthly or something like that, like sure, I don't know. Will we use Fetch API or Exos? We're going to be using Fetch. These are motivational. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Yes, you'll be able to access on YouTube like that. Is there a video quality option? Maybe, I'm not sure. This time we're like streaming directly to YouTube and Zoom, not going like from Zoom to YouTube, so it should be better. I'm not terribly tech inclined in that regard. Getting 6 severe vulnerabilities. I will talk about that. That's actually a very interesting case. Do not worry about it though. Oh yeah, I forgot to bring that up. Let me bring that up and so that way I can talk about it later. React scripts. And we'll wait about well actually it's 5 minutes in, so we'll kind of get started. Video is kind of pixelated here. We're live streaming. I have no idea. Yeah. So I'll talk about that. There we go. All right, so I'm going to stop reading too much chat. I mean, it's always my eyes always go to chat. I love talking to chat. And yeah, do we need to know JavaScript beforehand? No, not necessarily, but it helps, right? Will this work on WSL? No guarantees. I'm on a Mac and I use Linux at home, but maybe. As long as NPM like version works, yeah. If you're having trouble with image quality, then yeah, check out our YouTube stream as well. Although I won't be talking or interacting with the chat on YouTube, just so you know. All right, yeah, so let's get started real quick here. My name is Sean, and when I'm talking to you from Japan, that might be why the video quality is so so scrambly sometimes, but we work for Kintone, which is a major tech corp in Japan, but not so much around the world. And so we're kind of starting to branch out. And it is me here in our studio with my good friends Genji and Jesselyn over there. Hey, you guys are on camera. Yeah, cool. They're always here to support me, and we go to lunch together and stuff too, which is nice. And we are going to be working on our JavaScript skills and backend skills today. And we're going to be making a cool app here that is built in React, and the front end is in React, and I'll talk a little bit about it. And then we're going to be using a backend that interacts with that React app called Express Server. And from that backend, we're going to be saving data to a web database, right? Extremely important skills, especially if you're learning to code and trying to break into the industry, and also just in general, right? Like making your own backend, making your own API. That's kind of what we're doing today. And I know that if I was like interviewing a junior dev or coding, then I would, if someone was like, "Yeah, I make my own APIs," I'd be like, "Oh, cool. When can you start?" But I'm also not in charge of hiring. So yeah, everyone's saying there's a lot better quality on YouTube. So yeah, no, if you guys want to go there, just definitely go for that. Although I will not be, once again, interacting with chat on YouTube. So yep. We will be getting the recording. Yeah, we'll have a recording uploaded to YouTube as well. So like if you're just getting home from work and you're like, "Oh man, I'm hungry and I want to practice coding," and you want to watch it later, like after making some chicken, we'll post the recording probably after this is done within like a few hours, and then we'll post a edited version as well within like a week or so. Yeah. So wherever you're coming from, welcome like that. Although if you I'm live streaming on YouTube and it's very crisp, and I hit leave computer audios and I still have chat open. Yeah, that seems good to me. Very smart, Israel. Very cool. Yep. And what we're going to be making here, we have this GIF of what we're doing open because I accidentally deleted my finished project, but we'll be making it live here with the. So we have this front end, right? And for reasons that I will explain, we are going to collect people's country, state, and city. Country, state, and city. And then I want to save those country, state, and city information into a database, right? It could have been like location, like latitude and longitude and stuff like that. I just decided to go with country, state, and city because it's easier. And we're going to be saving that data into a database. And my end goal with this app that we're not going to go through today is maybe like display all of the Kintone users around the world, and like their location with like pins on a map, right? So this is kind of like part one of this project where we're just working on saving user information to a database. And then part two would maybe like be getting that information from a database and then displaying it with React, for example. And one reason why we're doing this kind of somewhat of a more introductory or like beginner's project, quote unquote, is because we have a really cool announcement at the very end of this stream. It's actually, I'm really excited about it, but 15 lucky people who make something cool with Kintone and write an article about it will be able to win $100 in gift cards. That's right, up to 15 people, $100 in gift cards. We're having a Kintone customization contest that I will explain more about at the end of this workshop. So you got to stick around. Yeah. If you want to cheat, there's the QR code though. Hey, now it's gone. Cool. So, for our workshop today, what we're going to be doing, there's a lot of people who seem to be like, I have no, experience, or I have no, I'm kind of new to coding. That's okay. We're going to be going through together in steps of what we're going to be doing today. first thing that we're going to do is we are going to git clone. We're going to get our startup project, right, that we've prepared for you from GitHub. Commentary is fire if you want to make some chicken. I like a good chicken after I get home from work, okay? Hey, there's nothing wrong with chicken. But what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be git cloning our project started like that, so everyone can get on the same starting point, right? Then we are providing this Kintone Developer license, and it's free, and that means free as in free beer, and also free as in freedom. We do not sell your information or anything like that. When you use that announcement, you're going to tell us you're pregnant or something. Nope, baby's already born 7 months ago. Yep. And after we get our database set up and you have your own free web database, which is free to use forever, then we're going to code out our front end, or we're going to code out our back end, like connected to our database, then go through actually making some API routes together. Does that sound cool? All right. So for everyone who is following along and is ready to get started, if you can post an emoji in the chat real quick, then I will know kind of how many people are actively following along. Because, some people are, kind of passively following, just kind of listening to me blab and stuff. Yeah, why is everyone doing the same smiley face? Although I appreciate it. Yeah. Hey, there we go. Thank you. Thank you. Look at all those cool emojis. I see a wave. I see skull. Hey, don't send skull. Thank you for the chicken, Patrick. I appreciate the chicken, the drumstick. Koala, I don't eat those. Robots, hearts, thumbs up. That's nice. It's good to see everybody. Yeah. Oh yeah, pretzel. I think I remember, Evan. You did pretzels before. Someone did pretzels. Very cool. All right. So it seems like there's a lot of people to get started. So when I moving along and I check in with you, I'll kind of look for like 20 to 30 people who like post emojis, All right. So everybody who is ready to get started, the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to clone our project, right? We're going to take our starter project from GitHub. And so if you can navigate, please, to the chat, and you can click on our GitHub link that will be appearing in chat quickly. Although if you keep spamming chat with emojis, it might get buried. So be careful about that. And go to the Kintone Workshops GitHub, please. You have it? There you go. Thanks. Thank you. I always appreciate it. And here we have basically our links to clone the workshop repository. And if you want to go faster than get your Kintone subdomain, go for it. If you already have one, then you're really, really cool. Right. And so on GitHub, right, we have our starter project, and it has so much information for you. If you scroll down the README, it talks about what we're doing. It actually details in steps like what we're going to be doing today as well, if you just want to work ahead. And, all kinds of cool information. And it even in the docs folder here, if you click on docs, you can see like the workshop steps that I've written down painstakingly last night. And also like the actual finished code for server.js as well that we'll be doing together later. So, if you're ever lost, there's so much information for you. And you can always ask Genji or Jesslyn in the chat, and they will help you. Would you recommend to use GitHub app or Git Bash terminal? No, I'm just a regular terminal person, but some people use the desktop app. I've always used terminal. I'm an old timer. I am a 33-year-old boomer. I actually have like some of our code that we're going to be doing today like printed out on paper. The only thing I need is like reading glasses and like looking at it, and it would be complete. All right. So we're going to clone this repository. So click on the big green code button, or however it is over here, and click on however you want to clone. I have GitHub, CLI installed, but it'll say like git clone for you. And I have a workshops folder, but you can go to like the downloads folder. So yeah, I'll do it in downloads. Why not? CD downloads. Yeah, look at all that. And then we'll do GitHub repo clone, Kintone workshops, React REST API workshop, and that will clone our project. No, it's cool, everyone. Yeah, we're just getting started. We're just cloning the repository right now. Probably like 50 people are cloning right now, so it was a little bit slow. Is Kintone open source? No, Kintone's not open source. I am on the open source team here at my job though, and that's kind of cool. We like contribute and donate to the open source, which I like. Yeah. All right, and once you have cloned the repository, navigate into that folder, however you do that. Some people use the file browser, some people use terminal, some people are in GitHub. Desktop app, right? Yeah, a lot of the language on the screen just went away. Let me get rid of that. Bam. But basically, we are in the workshop repository. My work computer is in Japanese. They gave me a Japanese computer. And once you are in the repository, we have to do a couple things, right? I'm going to go ahead and open this up in VS Code just temporarily. So code dot, do I trust the authors? No. Yes. Yeah. Yeah, there we go. And then once you have VS Code open, you kind of see like our project, and I'll go into more detail so far. We have a VS Code folder, which kind of will recommend some useful extensions. If you want to install those, please go ahead. It should like pop up if you're using VS Code. If you're not using VS Code, probably won't do anything. We have a backend folder, and this is where our Express server backend that we're going to be coding out together works, if you want to take a look in there. We have the docs folder that has all kinds of useful information and images if you want to check that out, including everything that we're doing today in the workshop steps. We have a public folder, which is like React boilerplate. It's just our index.html file, which will open up our React front end app. We have our source folder, right? This is more React stuff. And up in here is everything that has to do with our front end that we built out in React. And just as a reminder for everyone, especially those who came late, this is not going to be a front end tutorial or workshop. We had done lots of those. This is actually going to be working on the back end exclusively. And so because of that, we already coded out the front end for you. And I say coded out, but like it's React. And so I use the React ecosystem and I just like npm installed a bunch of useful packages and called it a day. Otherwise, why would you use React, right? So I'll talk a little bit about our front end, but we will not be coding out the front end. We have our .env.example. We'll go through that and how to use .env files, git ignore, of course, some linting, licenses. And then if you want to check out our dependencies here, we have our package.json, right? Anytime that you are git cloning or installing a new project and stuff like that, especially web dev, right? You're going to have some dependencies. For example, like in our dependencies, we have React, we have React DOM, and we have some other, those packages that I talked about earlier. I have one that'll like has a big list of countries, states, and cities around the world. So I installed that because I didn't want to, type any of that out by hand. That would have been like 50,000, data entries. We have Express for our Express server. To connect to that, we have our React DOM, we have our spinner, we have a loading spinner, and then we have a select box that does our like front end UI. So where people are like picking, their state and city and country from. And then, so someone mentioned earlier that when you do npm install, which we're going to do together right now, when you do npm install in your terminal, and it says there is like critical vulnerabilities and stuff like that, that's because of this official package called React Scripts that is comes with React these days, especially if you do a create React app, right? So those are our dependencies. Let's go ahead and npm install, and I'll talk more about that. Npm install in your terminal or however you install dependencies. And it's going to like get all those packages from npm for us and bundle them all together so we can use them in our app. And boom, right there, 6 high severity vulnerabilities in big red letters. Myself and Genji, we spent a couple of hours a couple of days ago when we were like finishing out this workshop build, and we were like, what is with these vulnerabilities? So like it says in the terminal, right, like do npm audit fix to like fix them, or fix force if you have to in order to do like breaking changes, right? And what happened is it would bounce the version of React scripts from like 4.2 to 5.03 and back and forth endlessly. And we're like, what's going on here? And like both of them had like huge, like critical vulnerabilities. So I Googled it a little bit, eh? That's always a good skill. And this is the pinned topic on the very top of the Create React App GitHub repository that the code owners, the moderators there have pinned from 2021. Help, npm audit says I have a vulnerability in React scripts. And hey, by the way, this is not an actual vulnerability is what they go on to explain here. Basically, if you want to read all this, this is kind of interesting, kind of snarky, very a little sarcastic. But if you read all this, basically, React scripts is a build tool. What it does is it helps bundle together and start up your node server, right? And it bundles together your code into a JavaScript bundle, and then it sends it to your web browser. The actual React scripts dependency itself does not get bundled and sent to your web browser. It's not part of the JavaScript bundle. It bundles it for you, but it does not bundle itself into the bundle. Therefore, it actually never reaches your web browser. Therefore, it is not actually quote unquote vulnerable to these, like HTTP vulnerabilities and cross-origin attacks, right? That is basically what they're saying. And if you run npm audit -- production instead of npm audit, this will actually show you what dependencies are getting used in your production build of your app, right? And it says found 0 vulnerabilities. So just in case you're wondering, like, why is my terminal or everything like saying like critical alert, that's why. Don't worry this time. But me and Genji had to look this up the other day. Okay. So now that we've installed our dependencies, we're actually going to install some more dependencies. And someone also mentioned this. Today, we are actually going to be running 2 node servers. I did 4 like that, but 2. We're going to be doing 2 node servers. One is going to be for our React front end, and that is right here in the root folder, React X REST API workshop. The other node server is going to be our Express server backend, right? We are going to have a React front end sending information to our Express server backend, and then that Express server backend is going to send information to our web database and save it for us and get it for us and stuff like that. Basically, we're making our own API. My cord jiggles sometimes. So if the screen goes blue, then that's just, I get too excited and, it gets a loose connection. So what you need to do next is we actually are going to be running 2 projects, quote unquote. We're going to be running 2 node servers. So now change directories into 1 folder deeper into the backend folder, right? In our repository as well, you can see this backend folder. This folder also has a package.json, right? So we're actually going to be installing these dependencies as well. So in the backend folder as well, please npm install, or if you're really cool and you want to show off, npm I. 3 moderate severity of vulnerabilities. I have no excuse for that one. That's just a little bit of laziness. You can fix those if you want. npm audit -- production. Let's see. Nope, still 3. That's fine. If you want to fix those, you can. Do it after the workshop, though. And so, make a pull request? Oh, yeah. If you want to, if you really want to show off, then you can make a pull request to this repository and say, like, hey, I fixed your vulnerabilities as well. That'd be really cool. So since we're going to be running 2 node servers, right? Basically, I recommend that you have like 2 terminals open or like 2 tabs in your terminal. So I'm going to do that right now. I'm going to make another tab right here. So just so you can follow along, I have 2 tabs up here at the top, and I'll be switching between them. And one is going to be my backend, and this one that has a lot of text is going to be my front end. Is that okay? So in our front end, since we installed our dependencies and stuff like that, you can go ahead and run npm run start on our front end folder, and it should start up React. And it might not work, because we haven't coded anything yet, but the screen setup is really nice. Yeah, that's Mr. Tanaka. He's our streaming wizard. He's does a really good job. I think last time we had one of these workshops. If you didn't catch it, it was an AI image generation workshop. You can check it out on YouTube, by the way. But some people were saying that the screen was blurry, so we decided to change it up. There you go. Let me zoom into that. So here is our React front end running on localhost 3000. And then in terminal number 2, right? In terminal number 2, you can go ahead and run npm run start. It might not work just because we haven't coded anything yet. And now we have our front end running on localhost 3000, and we have our back end running on localhost 50,000, because port 5000 is actually taken by recent Mac OS updates. So we decided to go with port 50,000. All right, so if you're kind of following along and you kind of understand like how our project is set up and you're ready to get going and like get a database and all that stuff, then please send me an emoji in the chat. All right. Give me the commands for backend and front end, please. Just npm install and npm run start. npm run start for both of them. Eyes, sunglasses, Edwin, Sierra, Jera, Noah, Karen, Sai, Adam, Trevor, Kristen, Genji, or is that Jesslyn? That was Genji. Gosh, Raga, like I'm sorry if I pronounce anyone's names incorrectly. Thomas, Ariane, Natalie, Nathalie, Leandro, Trevor, Anthony. Hey, don't post twice. Just because you post 2 emojis, you think I'm going to read your name twice, huh? Thank you, thank you. Who posted the bathtub? Michael? Nice choice. All right, cool. So it seems like enough people are kind of tracking with me and ready to get started. So the next thing that we're going to do is we are going to get our free Kintone web database. So we have our developers site right here that has all of our API documentation and like tutorials about how to do cool stuff. And me and Genji spend a lot of time writing articles, and actually mostly Jesslyn recently. She writes a lot of articles for this website. And on Kintone.dev, if you go to kintone.dev/new, or if you scroll down here, you can get a developer license. You can get a developer license registration form. Anthony, if you are getting that error, then you might have a unsupported version of Node. And please talk to Genji or read in the README. Do we have that in the README? Mm-hmm. Yeah, we have a little bit about that error in the README. But basically, some versions of Node have a break-in change that will not allow you to run the backend, but you can get around it by passing one option into it or changing your version of Node. So for anyone else that gets that error as well, we also encountered that error. Yep, so you so opening on port 3000, that is our front end. You need to do 2 npm run starts for everyone. So just remember that. You need to do npm run start on the root folder, and then you need to do it again in a different terminal in the backend folder as well. Yes, thank you, Tochi. That's very helpful of you. So now that we have our developer license registration form, and if you've already registered for a subdomain, then kind of, you can go ahead or you can talk to people in the chat or ask me questions. But this is our Kintone developer license registration form, and it'll get you a free Kintone subdomain. What is a Kintone subdomain? That is going to be this right here. Here I have one, devevents.kintone.com. I have my own personal one, sean.kintone.com. You can get yours, chatmember.kintone.com if you want. And what this is a online group work and groupware platform that we have, and it's quite popular over here in Japan. And it basically allows you to create and work with data with either teammates or people that you grant access to this domain. It is not public facing. You need a login in order to get in to your own personal subdomain. I cannot get data on localhost. That's because we haven't coded anything yet. And when you are, blue screen of death. There we go. So when you have your Kintone subdomain, though, you are able to create apps. So if you've ever been, if you've been web deving, you might know about online web databases, Firebase, you know, or like Amazon AWS obviously has their own database solution, Supabase, or you might still be doing like local databases, like a lot of, you know, beginner coding tutorials will say like, hey, you should create a MySQL database with like these columns and these rows and tables and stuff like that. Web databases are awesome, in my opinion. They allow me to not spend an hour or two making a MySQL, you know, table, which is actually really nice, right? I could make the table. I've done it before. I don't want to. I've worked with MongoDB. Will this be similar? It is still a SQL database, so it is not you know, a NoSQL database, but it allows you to create, you know, databases with columns and basically like data entry forms with touch. So I can drag here like these text fields, and then that's like creating a database table with 3 columns that have text information, right? And then like if I activate this app, we'll be doing this together, by the way, later, so don't worry too much. I could say, you know, like test 1, test 2, test 3. I can manually like save information into your database, right? And then you can view database, because that's all the databases are, right? It's just like columns that say what kind of information goes in here, and then rows of information. So like if it was like a customer like sales app, right? It would be like customer name, customer phone number, blah, 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 blah. And then, you know, customer number 1, Sean, customer number 2, Genji, stuff like that. However, entering data directly into your database is never good, right? So we're actually going to be creating our own API to enter in data into our database. So now that you kind of know just a little bit about what Kintone is and what a subdomain is, please, at the Kintone Developer License Registration form that we have here, and that will also get linked one more time in the chat. If you read our kind of like key points, basically it says, you know, it's free, and it's free for you as long as you don't abuse it. So like you can't like send like millions of API calls and spam us, and you can only have 5 users and don't store more than 25 gigs of stuff. And otherwise, you know, it's free as in free beer. We don't sell your information. We don't email you, really, although maybe we should, you know, like maybe we just don't do like our marketing properly. But yeah, you can get your own subdomain that is free for you to use. So if you put down here your information, my name is Sean Luce. I'll do sean@kintone.com. And then just a little bit about like why you're here would also be helpful for us. You don't have to. We'd appreciate it if you did. Just it'd be me and Genji reading it and be like, huh, a lot of people like our articles. Maybe we should write more articles. Like that's that's all we're doing with this so far. I'm a professional developer, I guess, and I like the workshops and YouTube videos. Yeah. And I want, I'm studying programming, and I want an easy to use backend and database, right? Yeah, everybody wants that. And the part down here that a lot of people get tripped up is create your Kintone Developer License subdomain. What this means is this is what's going to become being before .kintone.com. So my subdomain is sean.kintone.com. So I typed into here Sean like 2 years ago, and this subdomain is not available because I have it. So, you know, get your subdomain, especially the 4-letter ones, while it's hot, right? Do keep it appropriate, although it's not like we're going to deny it, you know, although, you know, just be mature, okay? So no like I love feet.kintone.com, please. Hey, that's good to know. Yeah, Leet. Can you do numbers? Yeah. Leet.kintone.com. Get it while it's hot. And then if you agree to our privacy policy and stuff like that and click sign up, we will send an email to this email. And so make sure that you put in like a localhost.kintone.com. That's interesting. Localhost.kintone.com. Not available. Someone already took it. That's funny. But if you you need a valid email, right? Because we don't want people to spam domain creation. So do check your email, and you will get an email. Do check your junk folder just in case, and make sure that you get the sign up email. That sign up email will take you to activate your domain. And when you are first logging into your domain, your login name will be your email. So here I put Sean@kintone.com. My login name for my newly created domain of localhost.kintone.com would be Sean@kintone.com. That would be my login name. And then it'll ask you to make a password. Yeah. Let me see if I have a picture explaining this. Common sign up number 3, I think. Yeah, like this. You'll get an email like this, and it'll ask you to set your password. Thank you, Genji. All right. I'm gonna go back though real quick. Cool. So once you have your subdomain and you have managed to like log in and get to your front portal, let me know in the chat so I can keep on moving on. Although everyone might be in the YouTube chat now. I am drinking a honey milk latte from a coffee place that starts with a T. Thank you, everybody. So let's see who's done in the chat. Edwin, thank you. Ariane, done. Jesselyn, you don't count. Karen, Trevor, Brett, thank you very much. Leandro, thank you. Yeah, I can confirm I am in YouTube. Yeah, well, that's fine, If enough people like eventually watch YouTube and like subscribe to YouTube, then we'll just like stream directly to YouTube probably in the future. When this workshop thing first started out, before I even joined over here, they were doing on Zoom, right? Because Zoom was all the rage 2 to 3 years ago, right? YouTube chat sucks for tech support. Yeah, that would be tough, Genji. Links are not allowed. Twitch stream? Yes. Yeah. I'm excited for my hot tub coding session. Kick stream. I've seen a lot of people talk about Kick recently. I wonder if Kick is gonna be like that. What was that other streaming service that tried to take on Twitch? I forget. Yeah, Mixer. Yeah, Mixer. I'm not sure, but like after Mixer closed down, they have like this huge infrastructure of like, millions of top tier servers with like extreme like bandwidth throughput, and then no one to sell it for because no one else wants to try streaming. Like they have like this top tier like database center, and then they can't sell it to anyone after they close their business down. All right, so it seems like enough people have their yeah, Amazon already has their own database centers and stuff. TikTok snippets. Yeah, we thought about shorts, and we might have a short coming out soon. Invest in Rumble. I don't know what Rumble is. There's too many services, I don't even have an Instagram. I'm a tech boomer. All right, so once you have your Kintone set up, we're going to go ahead and actually create a .env file, right? Because we are actually going to connect our project, our code project, to our Kintone database, right? Because right now our code over here in VS Code does not actually know that our Kintone web database exists, right? We have to tell our web app like, hey, here's where I want to save some data. Here's my password and stuff like that. Yep. So in the code, in the root folder, so not in the backend folder, but in the root folder, you will see a .env.example file. And go ahead and open that up. That one's safe to open up. And in the .env.example folder, this is .env environment variables is what this stands for, right? And for those of you who are new to coding, environment variables is kind of a standard practice in web development and most development, where you have certain information, like sensitive information, right? API tokens, super secret passwords, and stuff like that, that you don't necessarily want to share with people. If I were to put like in, my front-end app right here, like const my password equals Sean, like people could get to that actually via the JavaScript bundle, and they could just see that, and then everyone would know my password, right? So you need a way to like share that information without exposing it to end users. And one way that a lot of people do that is with .env files. And when you include a .env file, you don't want to upload it to GitHub, right? But you still want people to know, like, oh, this is what my .env file should look like, or these are the kinds of things that I'll need for this project, right? So that is where .env.example files come in. And if I ever see like a developer who's like applying for a job and stuff like that, and they have a .env.example file, I'm like, oh, this person kind of knows what they're doing right off the bat, right? So definitely consider having a .env.example file in your personal projects and your GitHub repository as well. So what you're going to do is, don't copy your password from a YouTube tutorial. So what you're going to do is copy your .env.example file right in the root folder, not in any other folder. And then it'll create like .env copy.example or something like that. Rename it to just simply .env. And now you have basically like two of the same file, quote unquote, but one is .env, and this is what we'll actually be putting our sensitive information into. And it looks like we need three things in order to tell our project like where our web database is. Subdomain, which I kind of talked about earlier, app ID, and then API token. So we're going to go through how to get each one of these right now, although some of you might already know your subdomain. So your subdomain is going to be, what comes before .kintone.com, right? I just talked a little bit about that. So I have, for example, in my personal one, right, sean.kintone.com. I wish I could make it a little bit bigger, but I can't. Sean.kintone.com. So my subdomain would be Sean, right? Or we'll actually be doing this project in a special Kintone environment that we have already called dev events. So this time it would be dev events. You do not need the .kintone.com. Otherwise, I think our code will parse it as, dev events.kintone.com. So just your subdomain. If it was leet, then it's leet. If it's I love feet, it's I love feet, right? So we'll just do dev events. The next thing that you need is your app ID. What is an app ID, right? So we're going to actually go through what is a Kintone app now, and then that way we can get our Kintone app. But basically what our app ID is, it's our database ID, right? Which database do we want to save from? Because in one Kintone environment, right, you can have all sorts of databases. I have a whole bunch over here. I have one for AI generated images. I have like these test ones that I did. I had a whole bunch of different ones for, projects that I do on my personal time as well. So you need to create a new database, especially if this is your first time. If this is your first time using Kintone, you'll probably have no databases over here. So what you're going to do is over here on the right side, right exactly where I'm standing, there is a plus button. Let's go this way. There you go. There is a plus button right here. So click on the plus button for a new app. That's what we call it, right? It's our database. We call it an app, right? Because it's not just a database. That's our branding, okay? And then scroll down to create app from scratch. You can also, import from Excel and stuff like that. That's a big business use case because a lot of people use Excel. Excel is just databases, right? It's columns of data with rows of entries, right? We also have cool template files and you can like copy existing apps and stuff like that. But today's database is actually very simple. We're just storing three things. Create app from scratch. And you will basically start to create a web database. And what's really cool is that with just like drag and drop, we can create a type safe database with an API token and like post and get routes, which would normally take like, an hour if you're like super fast, like 3 days if you're just learning to program. We can create this in less than 5 minutes, which is why I actually do like Kintone. Like I like the company that I work for. It's actually quite nice. So I use Kintone. That's going to be the name of our database, just so it's easy to understand. Remember, our example app today is all the people who use Kintone around the world, right? So I use Kintone, sure. That's going to be the name of our app. And you can drag and drop in here columns, right? Or we call them fields because we have a form field entry. But drag and drop in 3 text fields. The name of your app is not case sensitive. That's just for you. Yep, you can call it anything you want. Try and make it easy to remember. You will not be using it in code though, no, so it's just for you. If you really wanted to be, like leet.kintone.com and name your app Leet, you could do that, I guess. So we're going to put in 3 text fields. Now, why did I do 3 text fields? If you go back to the image of our app, like what we're making today, right? This is our example app, and I think I had it open over here, right? Oh yeah, I already had it open. So we need our users to pick 3 things, right? We want to know what country they're in, what state in that country they're in, if there's a state, and then what city they're in, if they're in a city. And our app is built so you don't have to do all 3. You only have to do country, really. But so we need to save 3 pieces of data, yeah? And so when I kind of like start to recreate apps and when I try to like, when I see like cool things online, right, and I want to recreate it in my own personal time or for personal projects, okay, it helps to like break the project down and think like a programmer, right? Luckily this time our front end is quite easy. But we have basically these selectors, right? And so you can pick a country. A country name is what I'm doing. It's not latitude, longitude, but so it's a country name. So that would be a string, right? So we need some text to save a country. We need some text to save a state. We need a text field to save a city name, right? If you were doing like latitude and longitude, it might need to be like number fields, which you can do very easily. Just do number field. If it was like a date time stamp, right, you could do date and time. If you wanted to do like options, like one or the other thing, you could do like a radio button, stuff like that. We are just doing 3 text fields this time today. And so what you have to do is for each text field, you have to change it so it is ready to save our country, state, and city in. Definitely check out the Zoom chat right now because Genji is dropping very helpful hints. In the text field, click on settings up here. And so the first one was what? Country. And the name of the field is just like the name of our app. It's just for you to understand what goes here. It can be any case that you want. We're not going to be referencing code. But if you scroll down, here is field code, right? Field code is how we can hit up our REST API and basically tell our app like, hey, I want you to save this information here, right? We have to tell it the exact location that we want to save the information from. So this field code, I'm going to name country with a lowercase c. Lowercase c, this is case sensitive because it's going to be referenced in our code, right? Computers are dumb. They think uppercase and lowercase are the different things entirely. Click save, and then we're going to be doing the exact same thing 2 more times, but once for state, field code lowercase s state, and last one for city, city up at the top, and lowercase c city. You can change these variables if you really, really want to, but then you'll have to go into the code into our backends that we're going to be coding later and in the front end as well and kind of change whatever you change your field codes to. So you have country, state, and city. Click on save form, and we're already halfway done. You basically have already created a database that has type safe columns. Type safe meaning if I were to put in a number into the text field, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it would automatically get turned into a string. So you can't break your database that way, right? Or if it was a number field and I had typed in like, hello, I love Kintone, it would reject that value for me because it's not a number. Pretty cool, right? The next thing that you need to do is, since we're setting up our app, I want you to go to app settings. And we need an API token, right? That's another thing. We need to authenticate because we don't want anybody to just be able to save information into our database, although it is type sensitive, so they could just save text, I guess. But right here, you're going to click on API token. And I'm actually just going to do that right there, yeah. So this app, I am creating live, but I actually have a pre-prepared one that already has like an API token. So you're going to click generate right here. I'll just make one, why not? I'll delete it later though. And when you create your API token, you need to give it permissions, right? So this is also pretty cool. We have a scoped API token that only allows certain activities. So you have view records, so we can get records, right? And if you click on add records as well, you can add records to our database. And that's what we're going to be doing. Our backend is going to be able to get records from our database. Oh, this person is from Washington State, Seattle. And then you're also going to be able to post records. Hey, I live in Texas. I used to live in Texas. View records, add records. Make sure you click on those. And then if you're really smart, then you'll copy your API token right now, right? Click on save. Always make sure you click on save. You cannot navigate away, otherwise it will not save. And then click on activate app. And it'll say, are you sure you want to activate this app? And go ahead and do that. And you will have successfully created a type-safe database. And now you have API authentication with scoped permissions. So that API token, even if you were to let it out in the wild, someone could not like delete a bunch of records or delete your app or anything like that, right? That was incredibly fast and allows you to focus on actually coding stuff, which I like. I hate setting up databases. I've done it. I don't want to do it. I'm going to delete that API token now, by the way, because I already have an app set up. Update app. So now that we have our app and all that, you can navigate to that app. Oops, which one was it? I think it's this one. Yeah, 60. And now we're going to basically connect our app to our code project so that way we can get started coding. Does that sound cool? So going back to our .env.example file, we can now fill in our other two pieces of information now that we actually have our app ready and we have our API token as well. Have you ever been to Seattle? Yeah, I used to live outside of Seattle, outside of Redmond, a while ago. It was nice. I don't remember much. I was in middle school. I was interested in what, Final Fantasy? I didn't have pocket money, so it's not like I could go out. Do we have to copy the API token in our .env file? That is correct. Very good. So we'll start with this one, right? We're going to go in order. So our subdomain was whatever your subdomain is, Sean, dev events, and then our app ID. So which database are you trying to save that information into, right? And here you can also get that at the very top of our URL. You will see after this /k, and then you'll see a number, right? If this is your first app, it's going to be 1 because you've only made one database before, right? Mine is going to be 60 because this is the 60th app that we have made here. So I'm going to type in 60. And this is telling your app what? Yeah, I could just do that. Very good, Genji. Thank you. Here's the URL. So now it's a little bit bigger so everyone can see it. Get rid of that. So here's my URL, right? Subdomain, dev events, app ID comes after the /k. So 60 for me. Yours is probably 1. If you've come to our workshops before, then, maybe 2, 3. Although hopefully that number is going to go up because we are having a cool contest, basically using REST APIs where you can win $100 in gift cards. I'm not kidding either. We're giving away gift card money. And then the last thing that you need to do is you need your API token, right? Which we just created that. So whatever that API token was, you need to copy and paste it here into your .env file. So I actually already have one prepared that has not been shown to everyone for that one app. So I am going to go back over to my terminal real quick. And so I'm in downloads. So I am going to copy in code.env, no, workshops.env, there we go. And I am going to copy that to here. There you go. So now I have my .env file ready. And so if you have your .env kind of set up to look, you have your API token, your app ID, and your subdomain, then please drop an emoji in the chat for me. Where's the app ID surfaced in the admin UI? I think, is there anywhere in our admin panel that says app ID? I just always look at the URL. No? Copy the URL. Yeah, I just copy the URL. That's what I do. I'm sorry, I don't know the product. I swear, I know the product. I like the product. Yeah, file that in Jira, yeah. What do we use for app we just use GitHub issues over here because we're like a documentation. And also Kintone is actually really good for issue creation and tracking. So we use Kintone internally over here, right? Because you could create an app that says like, hey, someone needs to fix this or add this to the product. And then, you can send it to other people for like use. It's called process management. You can mention people. It's really nice. Look at all those emojis. Let's see some cool ones. Karen, nice sloth. Thank you for that. Trevor, Leaf. Jared, Taco. Thank you. Joel, always happy. Very cool. All right, so it seems like enough people have their .env file set up. And so congratulations, we have basically our web project, kind of like our front end is, already done because this is a backend tutorial. And we have our, .env file set up so that way we're connected to our web database. So the next thing that we need to do really is start coding, There you go. So if you're ready to start coding, I saw a lot of emojis, so we're gonna get started. Is that okay with everyone? Yeah. I know I talk a lot, but I like talking to you all, and people seem to like my commentary. So yeah, let's get this party started. Yeah. Hold on, I need more of this for that. You were getting an error. Next to be React script start exit status 1 failed the React type start script. This is probably not a problem with npm. I have my servers quote unquote started up just because I like to show you guys what this end product looks like. You don't really have to start them up right now. If you're getting a npm error like that, that looks kind of like, thank you, Trevor. I appreciate that. If you are getting an error like that, it seems like there's something wrong in your code. Like maybe because it's trying to compile your JavaScript, right? So if you were not paying attention, you actually went bleh right here and saved it and then tried to, tried to start up your server, that would cause an error as well. It could be an esports caster. Yeah, I just don't know. There's no Final Fantasy esports section, is there? I haven't played any recent ones, though. I only played till 8. No, 9. Yeah, I played 9. So if you're getting errors, definitely double check that you didn't accidentally type something into one of your JavaScript files, or can we do a quick overview of setting env? We kind of just finished that, but if you're on YouTube, you can scroll back, and then you can check that out, or just check out the recording later on. But basically, get your information from your Kintone subdomain, which we have steps on how to do that. Final Fantasy VII Remake, I haven't played it yet. I'm waiting for it to be $20. What was the copy thing that you did in the terminal? Did we just, so the copy thing was for me because I have, our super secret passwords and stuff in this .env file. I didn't want to show it live. So I prepared an env file beforehand to copy in. But I went over how to do it. All right. So if you're all ready to get started coding, then there's going to be a couple things that I want to talk about. What we're coding this time is a backend. So the first thing that you want to open up is this backend server in the backend folder. And there is the server.js file here. And this is an Express server kind of backend that we're setting up. And what Express is, it's an easy way to quickly set up an API endpoint. And I'm kind of debating what to talk about first, but I guess we'll kind of go through this code a little bit, and then I'll talk about why we need a backend, right? And what that does for us. It's very important, especially for any web database, not just Kintone. And you could use your backend of choice. So an easy one to set up with React is Express. I like Express. It's really easy to do. If you're using other frameworks such as SvelteKit just has a backend kind of built in, right? You can do routing and send stuff from server files. So you might not need a separate package for that, for example. There's lots of different ways to do backends. Today we're doing it with Express with React because it's fast and easy, and we want people to get hacking quickly with Kintone, right? Hey, yeah, there we go. Every time I shake the table, we get a blue screen, right? What is the backend primarily used for in production application besides CRUD database abstractions? Well, everything eventually boils down to CRUD, right? You always want to create data, you always want to read data, you always want to update data, and sometimes you want to delete data, right? So like eventually everything boils down to CRUD. But in this case, I guess I'll talk about it now. Our backend is going to be handling our saving to our database and also getting records from our database. And with large applications, right, you don't necessarily want to be running database operations from your front end, right? Because sometimes, like, imagine if you were building Facebook or Instagram or Twitter or Threads. Yeah, Threads. Imagine you were building that, right? You don't want people's JavaScript bundle like having to parse millions of posts all at once. Your database has, like billions of posts in it, right? You need super fast, expensive servers to get that data for you, maybe even like edit that data a little bit. So like if I was like, oh, I'm only looking for Genji's posts, on the back end, you would get all the posts, right, that you can with a query. And then you say, like, I only want Genji posts and I only want the recent ones that are really, really cool. And then you would send that to your front and be like, here's the cool Genji posts that you want, right? So backends do that for you. Another thing is backends will act as a proxy for you. And what I mean by proxy is if you were to, in your front end, and I'll go into the front end just a little bit later, but like if I was in my front end right here, and I wanted to hit up the Kintone web database, so I do a const get Kintone records. I already have a get records, and that's a function, blah, 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 blah. And then I would do like fetch my records is equal to fetch, right? We're going to fetch some data, right? This is an API request. Fetch from, HTTPS, blah, 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 Sean.kintone.com. This isn't the actual endpoint. I'm just going to type it in like get records.json or something like that, right? This would fail. This would fail for a couple of reasons. Someone said async. Well, yeah, obviously. But besides that, actually, this will fail due to CORS errors. And what CORS errors is cross-origin resource sharing. And basically, it does not allow you to, from your browser, request and run scripts directly to a web database server. And this is this is not just a Kintone thing. This is extremely common with any kind of like API and web database service, right? You don't want people to be arbitrarily running scripts from like a different place than you originally wanted. So in this image that we prepared, Genji prepared, whoa, where'd that go? In this image that we have right here, right, we are going to be from localhost, right? We're running our front end on localhost 3000, and via our get Kintone.json API request, right, we're going to be requesting from our client some, data. Example.kintone.com, only for security reasons, wants to run only scripts that come from trusted sources, right? Because, you can't just like have people come into your server and say like, hey, run my JavaScript, bro. And then, oh, oops, I wanted to get all passwords or I want to get all data. You have to authenticate things. You have to make sure that things are coming from the correct place and so on and so forth. Then, on the other hand as well, our localhost is like, hey, I'm running locally on your computer. Who are you, strange website that's sending scripts to me? What we need in order to get around this cross-origin resource sharing is a proxied backend, right? And that is what Express Server is going to be doing for us. If you've ever had to deal with CORS errors, it's a big pain in the butt. But basically, you don't want to be, in general, just because of like performance reasons, hitting up your web database or anything from your front end, unless it's like a tiny little app, right? And also for security reasons as well, most databases and APIs will say like, hey, please use a proxy, please use a backend, if you had your websites hosted, for example, like like you bought like a host name and a server like www.iloveKintone.com, and then you wanted to save to the database, that might work because you have your own server. But in general, you still don't want to do things without a backend. So that's why we're doing a backend today. Also, you can put this in your GitHub repository as a project and build out on it, and then tell recruiters and interviewers like, yeah, I make my own APIs, which is really cool. Sorry for that tangent, but it's kind of like helps explain like why we're making a backend today, right? Is everyone tracking with that? You can post anything in chat. Where's the app file showcase located? Confused, broccoli. App.js is located in the source folder on your root. So /root source and then app.js. Adam, thank you. Brett, nice merman, maybe. Karen, is that curry? We love curry here in Japan. Tyler, nice turtle. Thank you. YouTube friends, hello. Nice purple circle. Rabbit, chick. Yeah, you guys are busting out the rare emojis. Thank you. Thank you for that. I appreciate that. Edwin, nice walking person. All right. So it seems like kind of people got my spiel about why you need a backend. And so we're going to go through this server.js file right now. So servers Express is a package that we installed via our dependencies via package.json. And the first thing that we do is just instantiate some data and some classes, right? Express is equal to our Express object, so we're getting it from that package. Cores, Express allows you to basically authenticate people via which origin they're coming from, so we can set up cores. Our backend server is running on port 50,000, and then our app is equal to just an Express app. So we've kind of instantiated a class, and we're going to be working with that together. We did this part for you because it's just basic setup. We're getting our .env files from our path, right? So in the root folder, go back one folder and then .env. So hopefully you set that up correctly. And we have some authentication information already set up for you. So our subdomain is equal to the subdomain in our .env. App ID is app ID, API token. And because we're working with RESTful APIs, REST API stuff, everything's going to be coming back and forth in JSON, right? So we're going to be actually receiving JSON data from our web database and also posting JSON data to our web database. And also this Express server is going to be sending and receiving JSON data from our front end, from localhost 3000, our React database, or our React app as well. And we authenticate that here using cores. So here, Express makes it easy to set up which domains and origins are acceptable for our backend to access. And so we say, hey, if it's coming from localhost 3000, aka our React front end, let them in, right? And then the last thing that we set up for you is we have our endpoints for our APIs. And our endpoints you could find, I don't have this memorized. This is in our documentation at kintone.dev. So if you go to kintone.dev, if you ever want to find this yourself, API docs, Kintone REST API, over on this left side, records, and you can see how to get records and how to add records. Today we're going to be using get records because I want to get every entry in my database, right? I want to know all the people in the world who are using Kintone, what country they're from, what state they're from, what city they're from. And then we're going to do the add record. Notice that is not add records with an S, that is add record, add one record, right? Because we only want our end users to be able to submit one place, like I am from blah, blah, blah. So we're going to be using add record and get records. And it says up here the URL that we need to be hitting up. So that's where we got that from, just in case you're wondering. Subdomain.kintone.com/k/v1, that's our API v1, and then records.json, right? And our single record endpoint, record.json, and then telling it what app it's from. And so if you remember, also just as a last aside, our field codes for our database, right, our Kintone web database, our field codes were, country, state, and city, lowercase as well. So let's get started coding. We're going to start with the get endpoint, right? Get's always a little bit easier to do than post, right? Because you don't have to send any information to the web database. You can just say, give me information, and it'll work, right? So right here on this to do, create a get endpoint at /getData. When you were mentioning getting all threads from Genji, the latest one, I thought of GraphQL. Yeah, we get a lot of talk about GraphQL. Maybe we'll do like a GraphQL workshop in the future if there's enough interest. Can we filter or get some records with Kintone? Yeah, absolutely. We have queries, of course. So you can do queries, you can sort. So the request response is not used. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly why. So we're going to be typing out how to create a get endpoint, right? So we are creating our own API starting now, and it's going to be at localhost 5000. Why is it at localhost 5000? In our front end, we kind of coded out two fetch requests already for you, getRecords and postRecord.js. If you open up getRecords.js, it's just a function. It's just a fetch request. And where it's fetching from is localhost 50,000 /getData. Right? And so that's what we're going to create now. We're going to create localhost 50,000 /getData because right now that endpoint does not exist. When you hit up localhost 50,000 /getData with a GET request, please do blah, blah, blah. That's what we're going to be coding out right now. So there we go. Just have some papers. And the way that we type this out is specific to Express. This time, this is like coding out an Express backend, but it's not super hard. There's a little bit of interesting points that I'll talk about. So we set our Express app equal to the variable app, right? So we're going to be using that. That's our instantiated class of our package Express. So you're pretty much going to be starting out everything app dot, and then this time it's going to be a get root. So we're going to do app dot get. And then you're going to do some columns. And then we're going to fill out everything that we need within these parentheses, right? And so according to the Express documentation, the very first thing that you're going to put in there is what is the root name? Like it's on localhost 50,000. We set that up above, but what root is it going to be? Yeah? Goodbye. No one can see me type at the most important time. Get data is what we called it, right? So in our getRecord.js, we're saying, hey, go and hit up localhost 50,000 /getData. So that's what we're going to be typing up here. So we're creating a get root on localhost 50,000 /getData. Who is allowed to hit this up? This is where the cores part comes in. Hey, be nice. There we go. We are a tech company, I swear. We can avoid connection problems. Yeah. We do have an IT department. And we've already kind of set up our cores options right here with cores options saying, hey, allow localhost 3000, right? That's our front end. So cores options is equal to our cores options. Man versus cable. That's funny. I like that. And then the next thing that we're going to do in Express when you're creating a route, you can easily tell it to be an async request. Who did that blue screen emoji down there? I typed it too. There you go. 2 blue screen emojis. Every time I go blue, just put a blue square in the chat, please. Thank you. You can basically tell it to be an async request just like this. It's giving me a red line, but that's just because I haven't, finished typing this out yet. Why isn't it async request? Well, our backend might take some time to get data from our web database, right? And so we're going to wait for that request to finish, and then, we're going to send that information back to our front end, which will also be an async request. Double async requests. And then the next part is kind of unique to React. Or not React, it's kind of unique to Express and Express servers. Everything after this is going to look like a function. You have an arrow function right here and then some curly brackets, right? In this function, parameters right here, just like normal, you're going to say like, hey, we're going to be passing in some data or whatever, right? Request and response, although we actually won't be really using the request in our get route, so we don't really need it, but you designate it anyways with Express. So this is going to be a function that takes in a request. That's really normal, right? In a fetch request, or in any function really, right? What data am I passing into the function? You always do that. But the unique thing about Express that I had a little bit of trouble wrapping my head around is this part, response. This is short for response. So if I did like response, right? You normally don't declare your return variable up here, right? That's not what you do in a function. Normally, if you wanted to return a response or something like that, you would just say like return my response, right? That's coding 101, and it's a function. I'm not exactly sure why Express did it this way. I'm sure it's written somewhere or there's some thought behind it, right? I hope that they thought about this. But you know, what you're going to be doing is actually declaring up here in the function input, right, that there is a request and a response. So do take note of that, because it's a little bit weird, right? And then the next thing that we're going to do is after this, it's just a normal fetch request. And that's the cool thing about Express. Like once you get around this like little bit weird kind of Express way of writing this out, it's just fetch requests. And so what we're going to be doing is saying like, hey, let's give our fetch options. So fetch options. And here we need to say like what kind of request it is. So method, you know, our method is going to be, it's a GET request, right? I mean, that's normal. It's always nice to tell people it's a GET request. And then we need some headers, right? That's pretty normal for a fetch request. So we have a headers object. And then this is unique to Kintone Web Database. Your headers API token is going to be equal to X, capital X. Everything is first letter capital X dash Saibozu. That is actually our parent company name over here in Japan. API, that's all three caps, API token. It is a little bit long and difficult to type out, so definitely double check that you didn't mistakenly type this. And that is going to be equal to our API token that we designated up here from our .env file, our environment file, right? So our API token is equal to whatever we had in our M file, and then this header is, that's how we authenticate with Kintone Database, X Saibozu API token, and that's going to be equal to our API token. And that is our fetch options. This is very standard for fetch. Depending on what service you use, if you weren't using Kintone, if you were using, I don't know, like Firebase or like some other service, it would just maybe be like API token, or it'd be like Supabase token or something like that, right? Depends on what service you're using. For Kintone, for us, it's X Saibo's API token. Is there an easy way to add retry behavior to the fetch options? I've never thought about that. I know Axios has retry, like, and that was always really nice back in the day. I haven't tried it with fetch though. That's a good point. All right, moving on. After this, it's just a fetch request. So we can say we're going to do a new variable called our response, right? We want a response from our web database when we get information. Does retry mean try catch blocks? No, it does not. Retry means like if it fails, it actually would show up in the catch block, right? If this fails or if it's not able to connect, just keep retrying a certain number of times. Can you copy and paste the headers here? Maybe Genji and Jesslyn could do that, but it's all in the workshop files as well, so you could just check the GitHub repo. So we're going to be getting a response back from our Kintone Web Database. So our response is equal to, here's the await part because it's an async function, await the results of fetching. This is a GET request, right? So remember, like I said earlier, when we get records, we want to get all the records in our database. We want to get all the people in the world who use Kintone, no matter what country they're from right now. So we're going to be fetching from our multiple records endpoint, which is records with an S.json. So multiple records endpoint, and we have our fetch options right here. Yep. Thank you, Genji. So we're getting a response back from our web database, and if we just ended this right now, we would get the response back, but we wouldn't be doing anything. We need to return that response object. We need to return that JSON back to our React app on the front end, right? So we've gotten it from our Kintone web database. Now we're in our Express backend land. Now we need to return that value back to our React frontend on localhost 3000. And the way that we do that is first we're going to designate that as JSON. So our JSON response is equal to our response.json, right? And then lastly, this is the last part that's weird about Express. Up here, we said that we have a response object, right? Normally I said like, hey, normally you would do like, right? And I think in like other frameworks like Svelte and stuff, you would just do return JSON response, or something like that, right? Here in Express, please note that you do res.json. And then what is that JSON response that we want to respond or send back? It is JSON response. A little bit weird, but once you get used to it, it's fast. So who wants to test out the app right now? I think the GET request should be working this, especially if you set up your env file and everything and your app correctly. So if you want to test and if Genji and Jesslyn want to get ready for a huge influx of people saying it doesn't work, then we're ready now. You can restart your backend server. So in the /backend folder, if you restart your folder, I think with rs. Oh yeah, you don't have any records, eh? That's a good point. Thank you, Sagar. Thank you. Country, United States, state, Wisconsin. Used to live there. Milwaukee. Thank you for that. Yeah. So we now have data. You don't have to do this part right now. You could just look at me. But if you want to test right now, you need to have data in your database, right? And then if I was to go to localhost and I click on the get button, what happens? Can I read for each? Oh, okay, hold on. Why Alaska? I'm going to restart my server just to make sure that everything worked properly. Hold on just a second. Control C to restart. npm run start. And what I am working on the Kintone REST API. I love the errors. This gives me more insight into code. Yeah, I'm glad that you're very positive about that. So it said for each is not a thing. That's interesting, right? Because here's a question: what if what if it's bugging out because I only have one record in there, right? So let me see. Country number 2 is United States, Alaska. Why? I might have like an actual legit error in my yeah, blue screen. It works for you. Oh, Alina, it always works for you. Thank you for the blue screens. It should work with one, right? So it should work, yeah? All right, then I probably messed up my .env file. Yeah, I did. All right. So I'm going to double check my, we do not have the post request written. That'll be coming very soon. So I probably messed up my .env file. So I'm going to quickly double check that. Getting empty JSON data. Hey, so if it's working for everybody except for me, then that's great. Oh, am I missing an await on line 42? Oh, is it returning too quickly? Do I have race? Ooh. Nice catch. We'll see about that. It could be race conditions. We'll see. Restart the server. Where's localhost 3000? Get records, please. Oh, I was forgetting the await. Thank you. I appreciate that. Karen, you're a lifesaver. So if you've been following along, exactly then, that sucks for you. But I forgot to put the second await right here, and that's why it's a async function. It was getting this and declaring this JSON response variable without awaiting, because it does take some time to parse JSON, and then it was immediately returning JSON response without waiting for this to finish right there. So good job. Thank you for helping me with that. It's called mob coding, right? There you go. Or I utilize the power of chat. You're kind of like a cloud computing service, almost like a GitHub Copilot or ChatGPT. Actually ChatGPT, because you're in chat right now. I'm getting the same error. So Michael, if you forgot that second await, then that would be the reason why. Yeah, await is key. Yeah, so oops, my bad. Happens. Yeah, that's great. And then so how to restart the backend. So if it's running in your terminal, then you could do Control-C to stop it and then just npm run start again. Or it also says right here that you can restart the server at any time, enter rs. So I type rs and then enter, and it restarts it for me as well. Yeah, I don't know. So that's great. So we have our database working, right? Alaska, the city of Y in Alaska. That's an actual place in Alaska. And then yeah, Bennett chat group people think. Yes, exactly. And then, yeah, so we have our database entries right there. Blue screen. Let's change out this cable real quick. Mr. Tanaka's going to change it out real quick. So just hold on. Poster blues. Yeah, laugh it up. Yeah, he's going to plug it in right here using a fancy fancy cable. Yep, we're changing cables right now. Hey, we're back. Thank you. All right, I think that should fix it, right? I'm going to jiggle the cable right now. Hey, yeah, I think it's better now. That's great. Man, one cable a lot, yeah. Yeah. It is fun. Actually, we did a recording of just like a straight up like YouTube video recording, so we can make shorts and stuff, and of the same content yesterday. And it was a lot harder recording than it is live streaming. I much prefer live streaming and talking to you all. Yeah, thank you for confirming that, everyone. Jason as well. All right, and YouTube crew. Hopefully, you haven't all left. The YouTube crew is probably like, oh man, it just streams down and then just leave. You know, you're losing subscribers, bro. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. All right, so basically though, our GET request is done. Let's do our post request, and then we can finish up this app, and we can talk about cool stuff like contests and how you can win $100. I'm actually really excited for it. It's the first time we've done this, something like that. So our GET request is done. Our next to do is create a post endpoint at /post data. Once again, why are we doing /post data? Well, in our front end, in our requests that we kind of built out for you, our endpoint is localhost 50,000 /post data, right? So that's where we're going to create that endpoint in our backend server. So go back into server.js, and we're going to create another route, right? Just like above. So it's going to look very similar, except this time it's a post request, right? We're going to be posting some data into our web database. So we also need to tell and structure that data like into a specific format, right? So let's get started. App.post. That's an express thing. Just like above was app.get for a get route, this is app.post for a post route. Post data is what we called it, right? And once again, who do we want to accept data from? Well, our cores, we already designated our cores options up above saying, hey, if they're from localhost 3000, let them in. And then the next thing is just like above, you know, what kind of function are we using? Async. You need the async, right? Request and response. Arrow function. When you get a request, do all this and then send a response, right? It's a function. When this endpoint gets hit up with a GET request, or actually post request this time, then do the following and send back this response, right? That's why it's a function, which is pretty cool. And what we need to do though first for our post request, right? We need to save data, but it's Kintone. And according to our documentation for not get records, but add a record, right? We need to structure our request body in a very specific way. We have a sample request right here on our documentation site, and that's what I pulled from. You need to have some kind of object, right? And it's going to have an app, right? So what app are we basically like saving to? What database are we sending to, right? We need to tell it that. Then it's going to be, we're going to be saving a record, right? We're going to be saving some new data into the database. And then after that, this text and number part, these are the field codes, right? What fields or what database columns am I saving to? So text would be country, for example. And then the value of that text would not be sample, it would be USA or England or any country, right? And then this wouldn't be number, it would be state. And remember that we did our field codes with lowercase, right? This is where that lowercase uppercase comes into play. Lowercase c country, lowercase s state. So let's go ahead and build that out right now. So we'll do our request body, right? We're making a request to our Kintone database in order to save some information, right? We're saying, please save this information. And so the first thing that we're going to do is our app number, just like the documentation. Our app is equal to, and luckily we already have our app ID available to us up here at the top, right? App ID is equal to our environment variable, so that's nice. And then the next thing that we need to do is create another parameter that is a record, right? We're going to save a new record. We're going to save more information into our database. And that's going to be an object because it's going to have multiple parameters, right? And the first parameter that we had was country with a lowercase c. And country is going to have a value of, let's see. Well, here's the thing. We need to not just like hard code, like I could hard code in here, United States, right? And every time someone hit up a post data and wanted to save some data, it would just post United States, no matter what country they picked, right? So that would succeed, but we want to post what the user entered into their field, right? So what are we going to put in here for value? And we're going to go real quick. You can stay on the server.js screen, but just look at my screen, yeah. And in our post record.js, right? If you look at this function that we're calling, we have post record is taking in a location object, and then it's taking that location object and it's designating them as country, state, and city. And then it's sending that to our backend, right? So this is our localhost 3000 calling post record.js. It's saying, hey, we got this user information and they gave us a country, state, and city. And if you go to app.js as well on our front end, import post record. And when you go down to the submit button function, which I have right here, I was saying location is equal to whatever country, state, and city they picked. And then we're post record, send location. Yeah. What is that location that's coming in? Well, we send it back to our backend, right? So like record, body parameters, country, state, and city is equal to whatever they said. And then to our backend, we're saying, hey, send this information as is to our backend. So we're going to have a location object, and it's going to have a country, state, and city parameter. So here, our country value is not going to be hard-coded. It is going to be our request, and I think Elena already said it. Yeah, thank you, Elena. Very smart. We designate that our route is going to be taken in a request object, and that's what that request object is. It is the post parameters that we are sending in post record.js. This is actually a post request to our backend, which is then making a post request to our Kintone web database, right? Two post requests. And post request number one that's going to our backend will have this record body parameters that is going to be taken into our function via req request, right? So request, and it's JSON, so it's going to have a body. And then the first one's going to be country, right? And you're going to do this 2 more times. So number 2 was state, lowercase s. That's an object that has a value of, this value part is a kind of a Kintone thing, the value of the field, request dot body dot state. And the last one is going to be city. And value is equal to request dot body dot city as well. Cool? Just making sure everything's okay. Yeah, okay, we're good. Does that make sense? We have to structure our body properly, and Genji posted it in the chat as well. Although he posted everything, so it's a little bit of a spoiler alert. But that's fine. So now that we have our body structured properly, though, we just need to make a normal fetch request, another post request to our Kintone database. So let's do that right now. Like all fetch requests, we're going to need some options. So we have some options here, or fetch options is what we call it above, doesn't matter. And this time our method is going to be post. We're posting, yeah, to our database. And then we have some headers, just like before. You can kind of copy this part from above if you want. We need an API token, right? We always need an API token. We need to authenticate x Saibozu API, that's all caps, token is equal to our API token. And then when we're making a post request, it's always good manners to tell them what kind of content you're posting. Okay, so our content type is going to be equal to, right there, application/JSON. Is that an uppercase or lowercase? It's lowercase. Yeah, there we go. I always forget if it's uppercase or lowercase. And then the very last part of our headers is we need to basically tell, or not our headers, our fetch options is we need to say like, hey, we also have some data that we're going to be sending with you, right? It's a post request. We're going to be sending data. So that request body, they call it a body, right, is going to be equal to json.stringify. We need to prepare our JSON, json.stringify. And what are we stringifying up? We are stringifying our request body into JSON so we can send it along to our Kintone web database. Cool. Everything after that is just going to be just like above. We're making a fetch request, and we're going to be parsing that response and sending that response back to our front end. So const response is equal to await fetch. And this time we're only saving one record at a time, right? We only want the user to be able to save one record. So it's our single record endpoint that we have above. So single record endpoint is equal to our subdomain kintone.com/record with no S, right? Record. And with our fetch request, we're sending along our options, right? I call them options right here. Then we're going to be parsing that JSON that we get back, just like above. Our JSON response is equal to await our response.json. And then this last part, just like I said before, this is an express server thing. Our response.json is going to be equal to our JSON response. Cool. You have successfully created a post route as well, and let's test it. Yeah. So let's go back to our server, restart just in case, rs enter. I think that works. And moment of truth, everyone. So our Kintone database right now only has 2 records, right? Alaska and Wisconsin. Let's add a new record, eh? So I'm going to refresh the page, pick a country, United States, sure. Where else did I used to live? I'll do Washington again. Redmond. Yeesh. Submit. That's the end because we didn't do anything with our front end. But if we go to our back end, or if we go to our web database, refresh the page, and boom! United States, Washington, Redmond. Yeah! It actually worked on the first time. That makes me happy. And if you have managed to successfully post data into your database, please let me know in the chat right now so we can all celebrate together. Working. Yes! Thank you. That's nice. Genji, you don't count. Bennett, nice whale. Karen, thank you. Bennett, got it. Aaron, yep, working. Ah, yes, great. Noah, thank you for the fire. Jesslyn, you don't count. Michael, Kristen, excellent. Anil, nice peace sign. Yeah, that's really great. I'm really happy about that. YouTube crew, I know you're a little bit behind in the delay, but YouTube crew, I hope everything's going well for you as well. Maybe one day I'll be able to check your chat. So, Sai, if your is still spinning forever, then check your developer options. So if you go into your app and push, like F12 and open up your developer options, it'll probably say some kind of error if it's spinning forever. If it's completed successfully, then you'll get a response back that we didn't do anything with, that just says like, hey, this record ID is 3, you saved it. And if yours is not working correctly, then common pain points. Number 1, debugging. Check to make sure that your .env file is correctly set up, right? Make sure you didn't accidentally mistype your subdomain. You copy pasted your API token with no spaces around it or anything like that, right? I've done that before. Common pain point number 2 is double check your field codes in your Kintone app. Can you say what you said again? Yeah. You just need to double check your .env file, right? Make sure that your subdomain is properly typed, that your API token doesn't have spaces around it. And then also another thing is double check your field codes to make sure you type them right. Aria, is that a caterpillar? Thank you. If you click on this cogwheel, you can go back into your app, go to settings for each field, and double check that it's lowercase c country, that you spelled it correctly. Dave's sending a picture. That's always nice. Just send the send the error message, right? Don't send a picture. If you're using us YouTube crew be like snails, yeah, snails, but that's okay. You know, I'd take it easy over on YouTube land. Go slow. If you are getting a failure to fetch, so fetch is a recent standardization as of Node version 18 or like 17 or something like that, right? So double check your Node version real quick, right? Make sure you have Node up like relatively recently. Stable is like 18.2 or something, right? 17.5 is when fetch was introduced. Yeah. Yep. 18.16.1. Okay, so Dave, definitely check that you have the correct version of Node if fetch is not working. And then can you show your server.js, please? No. Okay, fine. Server.js right here. Which one? The get request, the fetch request? Get. Yeah, there's the get right there. Also getting a fetch error with node 19. Okay, then double check that your API token stuff, you might have to start debugging. And one way that you can do that in server.js is if you want to check your options for fetch, right, to make sure that fetch is console.log fetch options, right? And then restart your server, of course. And then if you go to like open up your developer tools and click get again, and it'll also tell you like your records that you got. Oh, maybe if I restart. Is it telling me my fetch options? No. Oh, it's displaying it in, oh, there's my API token. Now I have to go change my API token. Great. I was going to do it anyways, but gotcha one, great job presenting. No, okay, wait, yes, but also everybody that presented, everybody that's here, you stayed to the end. Check out what we're going to be doing. We have a survey that we want you to take. And if you take the survey, first of all, you can get a gift card. That's a separate gift card. We also have a huge announcement. Maybe you can check out the recording later, but if you got to run, you got to run. I understand. No, don't leave, please. Please fill out our survey. I'm begging you. Yeah, sure. Or if anybody wants to hit me up on LinkedIn, I don't ever use it for work. I mostly post, memes and stuff on LinkedIn. Yeah, no, but besides the gift card, also, one, your feedback on that survey, we actually read it. And so, like, if you want us to do, like, a different workshop in the future, like GraphQL, or if you're like, hey, you should just do YouTube, we take that very seriously. It's literally just me, Genji, and Jesslyn reading these. We're not a big corporation. And then also, we have a huge announcement. Oh, yeah, the secret word. Secret word is cat. Or cats. Meow. Secret word is cat or cats. Yeah, fill out the survey later. I get it. If you got to run, I was just joking. But if you got to, you're not pressured to fill out surveys. I hate surveys as well. Yeah, so we're done with this project as it is right now. If you want to see part 2 of this, maybe, then let us know with a survey, because like we read the surveys. That's our only connection with you. I don't remember everything that was posted in chat, just the funny parts. So like, if you want us, like, hey, I want you to build that up and like do something with the GET request and React, then please tell us, and we'll actually pay attention to you. I promise. Yeah, cool apps. You can post stuff. It's nice to have a community. And then, so why did we choose to do a React app and like kind of like a REST API with a backend? Good question, everybody. Good question. First of all, I'm going to display for the YouTube crew a. Do we have a AP or do we have a workshop? Do we have a workshop QR code for or a questionnaire QR code? No. Yeah. So YouTube crew. Yeah. Oh, you already posted it? Thank you. That's great. Thank you. Of course. Every time I ask Genji, like, did you do this? He's like, yeah, I already did that like 5 minutes ago. Kintone does not have a Discord channel. We do have a discourse, a forum that you can check out right here. So if you ever have questions or if you ever want to like talk to us and stuff like that, yeah. And we also have job listings sometimes on there as well. Forum.kintone.dev. The secret word is cat or cats. And then, so our huge announcement. What is our huge announcement? Everybody who is interested, please check out this link or this QR code right here. We are holding an awesome contest. And what do you mean contest? Yes, an actual contest where you can create your own web product or web project using Kintone, right? You have to use Kintone. That's the only thing, right? Using Kintone and its REST APIs, or maybe just build directly in Kintone, and you can win a $100 gift card. And you can pick like where the gift card is through the service. You know, like you could do a foot. I can't say their name probably. A shoe store that starts with foot, or you could get a gift card to a online retailer that starts with Amma, for example. It's up to you. And we are going to have 15 winners, right? Pretty good odds, in my opinion. And what this contest is we want you. A lot of people have been kind of like attending these workshops. They've been checking out our YouTube videos and these tutorials for so long. A lot of people are learning to code, right? And part of learning to code and getting that tech job is getting out of tutorial hell, as they call it, right? Watching tutorials and never building anything yourself. That was a big kind of like turning point in my coding career as well. For this contest, what you need to do is build a web app. And this time we built like half of a web app already, right? So just kind of, you can use a starter project or any of the examples that we have. Build a web app using Kintone, and then write just a little bit about your web app, like what you built and why, how it works, for example, maybe like some code blocks and stuff like that. It doesn't have to be like an essay, right? Then at the bottom of your article that you wrote on dev.to, and I'll talk about what dev.to is in a little bit, link to your forum account. So you need a forum account that's very easy to make. We don't spam you, as far as I know. And when you have that forum account, just like at the bottom of your article, say like, hey, this is my account on the forum. And the reason why you have to do that is we need a way to link your article and your project that you made to your submission, right? So like in your forum account, because we will send the gift card information to your forum account as a direct message, eh? Then when you submit like that, that's all you got to do. The contest is running until September 1st, 2023 at 4 p.m. in this time zone. So I'm going to say it's actually in America time. It's until August 31st, Los Angeles time. So just before the end of August, submit your contest entry and you can win $100 in gift cards. For the 15 best submissions, we'll be giving gift cards. And for everybody that participates, we'll be giving away Kintone swag as well. That's right, water bottles, t-shirts, hoodies, chargers, all kinds of cool stuff that says Kintone all over it. Cheaply made, but it's actually not too bad in quality in my opinion. So this contest is actually really big because we want people to like go out and just make stuff. And then we will also like show off like, hey, this person won the contest. Swaggy. Yeah. I think we use like swag.com or something like that. Yeah. So what you need to do in order to enter this contest. Yeah, well, that's what is it's called swag.com. Okay. I'm not going to be a tech boomer. It's extremely bussin'. Okay. You can get some bussin' goods. We're switching into tech zoomer mode. Yeah.
Japanese nobility.
Yeah. Absolutely. For real. Do you have a workshop already planned? Yeah, we have the workshop already for next month, and we're going to be doing the same content there as well. So if you want to review this one, we usually kind of do like new content every other month. But check out our Meetup group. And actually, if more people start coming to these workshops, then probably my boss will be like, hey, Sean, you should do more workshops, which, oh boy. But I would love to do more workshops, actually. So the more that you guys participate, the more that we can do this. Instead of like every other month, we could do new content every month, for example. I don't know. My name is Sean, by the way. We're in the studio here with Genji and Jesslyn. We're a cool group. Anyways. Back to the contest, right? Because we want people to do this, and we need to use up all of our budget. What you need to do to enter, right? Create a forum account. You don't really have to participate too much in the forum, but it's always nice to have if you need to ask questions about Kintone, because we're always on there. And then once you have a forum account, build something with Kintone, right? Today we built a location tracking app. Build something cool. And it doesn't have to be extremely beautiful. We'll talk about the judging criteria, right? Half of your points out of 100 are going to be just for how you use Kintone in the APIs, like which APIs did you use, right? How well is your article about it written? Because part 2 is that you have to write an article or like a little post on dev.to. Yeah? Is Kintone something Oracle Apex does? I don't know what that is. Yeah. What's the next workshop? Next workshop is going to be the same contents, but the next workshop is up to you. We haven't decided yet, so please take the questionnaire and fill that out and let us know what the next workshop should be. Fire goods is better for Zoomers? Honestly asking, maybe. It's extremely no cap, okay? What is the secret word for it? Secret word for it is just to make sure that bots don't spam our easy to guess questionnaire URL. It's giving Kintone. Yeah, more React contents, I would say. Then tell us that in the questionnaire, please. But yeah, a lot of people seem to like React. I like Svelte, but you know, it's cool. Thank you, Leandro. I appreciate that. Yeah. Always got to try hard. What was I talking about, guys? Come on, let me focus. So when you write your article, like it doesn't have to be like an essay, you know, it'd just be like, hey, I made this with Kintone. Here's a screenshot of it. Here's what some of the code looks like, blah, blah, blah. And here's my article, or here's my forum account, right? And we have a couple example posts for it, right? You can just like literally add this to the bottom of it. And then we'll be judging based on like your uses of Kintone, like is your article like well-written-ish, you know? How does your app look and feel? And then your creativity as well. And then we'll announce winners on September 8th, our time, which is 10 p.m. on Thursday, September 7th, Los Angeles time, right? We have a couple of rules out here, but this is like legal jargon that like we just copied from other contests, literally. So kind of, you know, ignore that. And right, please read it. Please read it. And then I have a example post here on dev.to. If you don't know what dev.to, dev.to is actually, even if you're not doing the contest, dev.to is an awesome website that is just about tech articles, like how to do certain things and tutorials and blah, blah, blah. I actually really like dev.to. We have a presence on there. It's pretty major, actually. If this is the first time you heard of it, there's quite a lot of posts on dev.to in the developer world. And actually, they have like job listings and stuff here as well. Secret word is cat or cats, by the way. And so here's a project that Genji made right here. It's a Kintone customization that generates QR codes from Kintone record values. And his is kind of long because, you know, he's always a really, really good writer and stuff like that. And like talks about like how I made it. Here's like the code that I have. Here's like what I references, what is Kintone. And then down here, I put here's my forum account. Look at that. This is a 200-word essay, if that, maybe. Come on, you could do that in your sleep, right? You've all been to high school, yeah? Here's the QR code to join the contest. Question about your VRS code setup. Someone linked the theme that you were using. It's very nice, but what extension gives out the color icons for each file and folder? Yeah, let's talk about that instead of the contest. What is my, I have so many now.
You gotta do app install.
Oh yeah.
Type in theme.
I don't know the theme, that's why I'm looking for it. Shades of Purple is a theme. It says page not found when I scanned it, Genji. I don't know, that's, yeah, material icon theme. There you go. That's my icon theme. Yeah. Always got to make sure your development. I picked purple because my background is always this purple flower that you can't see. I'll get rid of this. It matches. Double check that QR code, but also we'll give you a link, and we'll have links to all this stuff in the YouTube video and also in the recording of this as well. But basically, why we did this workshop this time is a REST API backend is an extremely useful part for making any kind of project, right? So use this project as like a launch off point and go make something cool. I don't even know what it could be. We're waiting for your creative entries, you know, and I want to see what people can make with Kintone. And you can get $100 in the process. I know for some of you, like $100, oh heck yeah. And then for some of you who are like already like experienced engineers, be like $100. I make 150,000K or 150K at my Facebook job. You know, like I get it. But you know, it's a fun project, and it's always fun to make stuff, inspire other people. That's one of the reasons why I like doing these workshops. You know, I volunteered to do this workshop thing. So yeah. So please check this out. And, you know, we wanted to give you a good launch off point in order to make something cool. Yeah. So please fill out that questionnaire and check out the contest if you're interested. No pressure, you know, but it would be cool to see everyone there. And
600 subscribers.
yeah, subscribe.
They just subscribed.
Who subscribed?
I don't know, but we went past.
Genji said that we passed 500 subscribers on YouTube. I am looking forward to my brown poop colored YouTube play button coming in the mail. That'll be fun. Yeah, let's go. Fire emojis. Let's go is the thing, right? Yeah. Karen, thank you for holding the session. Looking forward to the next one. Thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Thank you, Sean and team. Hey, someone mentioned team as well. That's right. I always mention Genji and Jesslyn. I could not do anything that I do without them as well. Thank you for the workshops. I appreciate that, everyone. That's really nice. Lots of good vibes in the chat. YouTube crew, I hope you're vibing over there as well. Although I don't know if you can talk to each other. I think you have to be subscribed for a while. Thank you, Genji and Jesslyn, for helping us when we were stuck. Exactly. For real, I enjoyed it. Exactly. All I know is bussin', no capping for real. I'm sorry. Why did I pay for college? I don't know. College is fun. It was... Okay, should we do one of those stupid like YouTube-y things? Like, okay, if we... What are we at? How many subscribers are we at?
We got 607.
607 subscribers. Okay, everyone, get to 1,000 subscribers, and I'll wear like a little like Zoomer Fro like cap or something like that. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. In fact, if you put the word bussin' in your article, I will give you 1 extra point. How about that? One extra point for the use of bussin'.
You give us demo videos.
Yeah, also videos and like GIFs and stuff like that of your app is also very cool. If you want to be really cool, you can host your app. And that was one idea I had for the next workshop is like, we made this REST API backend, let's code up the map, and then we'll host it on like, you know, www.iusekintone.com or something, right? I'd probably have to get permission from my boss because like I would need a hosting service and stuff like that and probably like pay for a domain name, but yeah. I kind of want to do that. Thank you for making me aware that my Node version is way behind. Yeah, it's happened to me too. It's been a while since I've updated a lot of my stuff. Although my Node version is like, it was at like version like 20.3, and then Genji was like, that's not the stable version. Roll it back, son, is what he said to me yesterday. What is your job at Kintone aside from these workshops? So we do dev outreach. I kind of run the JP side. We do like internal development. We also do, we do the API documentation as well. It's a little bit more of a creative role. Like if me and Genji like have a good idea, we usually have the freedom to just kind of do it. If you're interested in a job with Kintone, you know, check us out. There is 2 separate organizations. There's the US company and the JP side. Yeah, we hire devs all the time. We're always looking for people that you know, have coding experience. And if you want to come work in Japan, you might need a little bit of Japanese depending on the job. But Japan's a nice country. If you're looking for US hiring, then we have Kintone Corp, which is kind of like our subsidiary. They're separate from me, unfortunately, but you know, we're always looking for good people. I mean that seriously, not like an open, like, oh yeah, we're always hiring type of thing. You know. Do you have student interns? Is the intern program still exist? Genji used to be an intern.
Kind of. I would need to be in charge of it again.
So if there was interns, then Genji would need to be in charge of it again. Does Kintone work with AI systems and stuff? Since it's my area of concentration. No, but it's like AI is all the boom recently, right? So like probably if you were like, yeah, I'll introduce a API for AI search in your thing, probably people would think you're cool, maybe hire you. That's all interviews are, right? Is do we think you're cool or not? US hire here, but my